For the past 10 years, we've had Road Radio USA come to the Lycoming County Police Camp Cadet. I'm also aware that they've gone to the other Camp Cadet programs in a number of locations here in Pennsylvania. Jim Mothersbaugh brings a great message of drug and alcohol resistance to the kids. Our age group for kids are 12 and 13 years old, boys and girls, and it is a very well received program by them. He teaches them how to resist drugs and alcohol and the consequences of what can happen if you're operating a motor vehicle while you're under the influence of some type of substance. Jim also brings it to the program his own personal story, which sends a very strong and sometimes emotional message to the kids. The way he presents it, though, is very unique. He does an actual stage show where he uses videos, music, audio of different types of sound effects, a light show that is almost like a dance studio. He gets the kids actually involved with the program, a very interactive program where the kids are up, dancing, cheering. It's not something that's a boring lecture to the kids. He's done a great job with this for the past 10 years that we've been involved with the program, and we believed in the program so much that after the first time we had it at the camp, we made sure to incorporate it into our schedule every year.
This was one of the best things, one of the best assemblies ever to come. It really catch your attention starting out with the music and everything. It really gets the kids involved.
Once Jim's story was presented, I was actually crying. It really, it hit home because it really showed you, don't do that, because he went through that and he's still struggling from years on. I'm still kind of about it.
This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. 3, 2, 1. I think y'all having a good time out there. Ain't nobody out here tonight. Don't stop the party.
Hey, it's update time.
This is Samantha Street with a message for Road Radio. The word on the street is a lot of teens don't realize the real news on booze. For example, beer contains the same amount of alcohol as whiskey, as does wine, as does any other alcoholic drink.
Samantha, you're telling me there's as much alcohol content in a glass of wine as a big bottle of beer?
That's right, Jimbo.
It wasn't like normal assemblies that were boring. They had awesome music.
Let's have a big thanks to our friends at the Geisinger Children's Miracle Network and the Jenna Wise Children's Hospital. Big round of applause for him, all right?
I really liked how the message was presented with music and stuff, and to show how it relates in the media and stuff. And I liked the visual effects that show what can happen if you do drink and drive.
And every single time the drug alcohol, or any other drug for that matter, hits your still growing and developing brain, it's going to act differently and negatively every single time, all right? That's the main reason the drinking level is underage across the country. We learned that the hard way over the years, all right? Good call. Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, but what's that?
Whoops. That's nothing, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, you aware that it's against the law to have an open alcohol container here in the state of Pennsylvania? Come on, give me that booze, you little pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Come on.
Absolutely. You could be arrested for transporting alcohol, which is simply carrying alcohol in your car if you're under the age of 21. So don't try lying about that six-pack in the back.
Okay, but what if I'm at a party and I have some beer and I don't feel like driving? So I walk home. Nothing could happen to me, right? It's not like I was driving.
What is it with this girl?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Listen up, to be arrested for underage drinking in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you don't have to be drinking, driving, or even legally drunk. I mean, say you got caught walking home from a party. You can be arrested because you consumed alcohol under the age of 21. Say you got caught standing and just holding a half a can of beer.
We were greeted at the emergency room by nurses with solemn looks on their faces. We're preparing your son for life flight to Geisinger.
I didn't understand. They tried to keep us out of the way. They were preparing for the helicopter when the curtain opened and I saw him, my son. His buddies had all been drinking before they picked him up after play practice that night. He got in the car, knowing that they had been drinking. Minutes later, the car was rolling over. The driver had fallen asleep. The car was going over 70 miles an hour when it hit an embankment, and here is what was left of my son. For 3 months, my son lay in a coma. 13 man-made holes were put in him to keep him alive. They wired his mouth shut, fed him and relieved him, and helped him to breathe. His face was so mangled, we hung his photo over the bed so the nurses would know what he really looked like. But he was alive. We were told all along he would never walk. Then came the surgery, 9 hours of surgery. 2 steel rods were placed in him to support his spine. 5 vertebrae had been crushed in the crash, and they were removed. So he's now shorter than he used to be. For weeks he couldn't move his head. It was in a cage and he was strapped to a tilt table. Do you believe in miracles? I do. And do you know why? Because my son is alive. He can walk, and to look at him, you would never know the trauma he suffered, or we all suffered, because of an unfortunate choice he made that night. I'd like to introduce you to my son. His name is Jim Mothersbaugh Jr. Today you know him as Jimbo Stereo.
That's me, you guys. Thank you, guys. You know, I don't do this show, we don't do this show for applause.
Finding out that that was Jim in the wreck was actually very heartbreaking, and it made me realize a lot of things that I've done in the past I should not do anymore. It created a great message for students and what not to do in their lives.
Bringing in the teachers really made it fun for everybody.
And he was a top salesman. He sold more stereos and more computers than anybody out there. Problem is when it came time to check the people out at the register, he couldn't remember the steps on how to check somebody out. So they had to let him go. He couldn't work there anymore. He worked at some radio stations, and he had trouble running the computers at the radio stations, so he wasn't able to do that job either. So that's another reason why he does this, because this is almost the only job he can do. And he's good at it, don't you think? He's good at it?
We just finished this powerful program and powerful message that was sent by Jimbo and all the people here for Road Radio. And the message needs to be heard by our students here, especially in our middle school. They are really touched by what was presented, and it helps them to make good choices.
It was entertaining, not to mention, it also got the point across. And that story, man, whew, grabs you at the heartstrings.
The story gave me goosebumps. And the story definitely was life-changing. I can honestly say I'll never drink and drive ever.
It was really shocking, because that true story, you wouldn't think that it would hit that close to home, and for him to come out there on the stage after I always went through was really surprising and really encouraging, and really a good reason why not to even get involved with alcohol, really. And I'm pretty sure from now I'll never do that. So that's changed me forever. So
I have an older brother. Yeah, he sometimes does that, and I want to go home and tell him, Nick, this isn't going to be the right thing for you to do. This isn't what's going to make you happy. You may think that it's right now, but it's not. It's not.
And it's just reaffirmed that the path I'm on to not drink alcohol is the right one.
When they said that we were getting out of class early, I thought it was just because it was just another boring assembly, but you know, this actually impacted me a lot.
A personal, realistic type of message that he has brought out to our school really assists us in helping it to hit home and be real, if you want to say that, to our students who can really relate that they need to make good choices and not do anything that hurt them or anyone else.
The program's effective because it really uses popular music. I mean, music from just the past month or so. The students tune into that and grabs at their emotions. I actually could feel the silence. I could feel their heartbeat when they were excited. I mean, it was the emotions were palatable.
I definitely recommend this at every other school.
It's real important that we have sponsorship and funding to bring in programs like this, especially from the outside, that we have people who want to bring a message to our students that hits home with students, not just someone who lectures, but has lived the real life experience. We need people to step up and sponsor programs like this, big organizations and corporations, so our students, that we all could make a difference for our students in this world and in our schools.
I can't see any reason not to bring the program into a school.
Road Radio really gets the kids up, and they'll be dancing in the aisle, and the principals and the teacher will be going, and then all of a sudden he whacks them with his car accident actually, and what happened to him personally. But we're looking for input and how to make this better and how to improve it. I think the message is very clear and it comes across very strongly.
I mean, the emotions really came out, and I think kids tend to brush that off at that age, but if they're there watching it, I don't think they're going to be able to brush it off.